Night live stream. I'm Tom Kessenich. He's Darik Buchar. We've got the RotoWire Online Championship tonight. So we're very excited to be back. It's been a couple of weeks since we've done a live draft live stream. So gonna have a lot of fun tonight. $250,000 grand prize on the line in the online championship, of course, this year. Darik, this draft sold out in a blink today. So I think that means one of two things. Either everybody was super excited to get into a draft that they knew you and I were going to be
I don't think
highlighting
that's it.
tonight. I think that's probably the number one reason why.
I'm not sure that's it.
Or it's you're shaking your head.
Yeah.
Or it's because these RotoWire Online Championship drafts are so popular and everybody wants to draft this year. Of course, $250,000 grand prize on the line. And these drafts, we're selling them out all the time. And everybody wants to get in because they are great drafts. And again, that big grand prize, everybody wants to take a shot at it, right?
Yeah, I think that's probably more that, and just the fact that it's Friday night and people are coming off kind of the holiday week with the 4th of July being kind of just in the middle of the week. So 10 o'clock Eastern, it's still 7 o'clock on the West Coast, kind of a time for people to be settled down, and maybe it's drafting time. We did fill up a 2 o'clock RotoWire today. That was a fun draft. And then, as always, we're filling up the night all 11:55 p.m. Eastern. I think there's 9 or 10 spots left right now. So after I get off the air here, I think we'll do about 10 rounds here, and then I'll try and fill that draft. So if you're watching this and like what you see, you can definitely get into one tonight. All you got to do is go to playnfc.com and you'll end up in the chat lobby, the sign up registration page. Just filter. I mean, it'll be right on top. It's the 11:55 RotoWire. You'll see it as the top listing there. So if this catches your fancy, there you go.
Yeah, or those night owls have become so popular, especially in football. I mean, they're popular in baseball too, but so popular in football because these drafts get done so quickly, right? I mean,
Yeah.
less than an hour and a half, sometimes even a shade over an hour.
I looked at it, I think 2 days ago, and they were our most popular draft that has filled so far this year. Now, I don't know if that'll be the case as we move in all the way through August, July, August, and September. But the fact that we've gotten this many already, it is crazy. I mean, we were doing them. I think we had 5 nights in a row where we sold them out. So I mean, it was pretty nuts to do that already.
Yeah, no, they're so popular again, and it's not all West Coast people that dive
No, it
in.
isn't.
You think
No.
it'd be a lot of West Coast people, but it's a lot of East Coast people. Put the kids to bed, and they're like, "I want to draft tonight, 11:55 midnight Eastern," and they dive in. Again, these drafts get done pretty quickly, so they're not up super late. But they're a great draft, a lot of fun, and they're the craziest drafts we see too.
They
The
are
ADPs just get broken
all the time. I mean, as a group, completely. You just you don't throw out ADP, but it's a lot wackier than the 8 and 10 p.m. ones for sure.
Yeah, no doubt. All right. So again, we have invited everybody from the draft in this 10 p.m. one Eastern to join us tonight. So we'll see if anybody does come in. Hopefully, we get a couple of people at least into the draft tonight. We'll talk to them if they do show up and get some thoughts from them about their draft tonight once it begins. So hopefully, like I said, some of them will show up. If not, Darik and I will hijack the draft and give our thoughts throughout the draft tonight. And again, if you're not in the draft, feel free to join us in the chat here like Jay Wimmers just did. And he's a big fan of the 10 and 11:55 drafts, obviously. Thanks for showing up tonight, Jay. And we'll keep this thing going, and I'll pop the draft board up here in a little bit once we get going. We're about 25 seconds away from the start of the draft tonight. So again, this is going to be a lot of fun. Again, 10 p.m. Eastern, 11:55 p.m. Eastern coming up tonight. But throughout the week and weekend, 8 p.m., 10 p.m., 11:55, like Darik said, we did have a 2 o'clock Eastern one draft today. We're offering more of those matinee ones throughout the week as well. Of course, the weekend, we're going to have matinee ones pretty regularly, but throughout the weekdays as well, we'll sprinkle some of them in as well now as we're getting deeper and deeper into the drafting season. Of course, training camp starts up in a few weeks, so that to look forward to as well. So more draft options available in the RotoWire and really in all of our contests as well. And here we go, Darik. No surprise, top of the draft, Justin Jefferson. Pretty much a constant. Jamar, again, no surprises to start this one. Jefferson and Chase going 1-2.
Do we think Cooper Kupp goes off the board here?
Yeah.
Nope, he doesn't.
No. McCaffrey.
Okay.
So no real surprises to start the draft. And really, the draft, I think we might have talked about that. I don't know if we talked about it in the last live stream or on the Sirius show, but the drafts really, I think, are starting kind of at 4, right? I mean, these are typically the first 3 guys off the board, and there goes Cooper Kupp, right? So I do think the draft's going to start at 4 more and more often as we see these first 3 guys. And boy, there's a shocker. Stephon Diggs going at 5, higher than normal.
Yeah, I think it starts at 3 now. We've pretty much seen Jefferson and Chase going 1 and 2 in some order. But I think you can throw Cooper Kupp, and we've seen it. Cooper Kupp into the mix at 3 now. Certainly McCaffrey, but even guys like Travis Kelce, we're going to see some. I'm telling you, we're still going to see some Bijan Robinson 3rd and 4th overall pick. So I while we may see mostly McCaffrey there, or for some reason if he goes higher, you'll see Jefferson or Chase or who's ever left. I do think you're right. I think we're going to see those 3 mostly in the top 3, but it's not going to be ironclad. So there are going to be different guys going that are going to hit there.
Yeah. All right. So Kelce goes 6, Tyreek Hill, Eckler, CD Lamb at 9, and there goes Bijan at 10, and AJ Brown at 11. So really no surprises as
Now,
far as the players coming off the board so
moving
far to
around,
this point.
I'll tell you what, CD Lamb is starting to kind of hit in that 8, 9, 10 spot where he was before. He was kind of 11, 12, 13-ish.
Yeah.
He seems to be moving up now.
Yep.
And again,
So,
all this is personal preference. I mean, all these guys are
right.
fantastic players at this point, so can't fault any of these picks.
Right. Yeah, I mean, once you get past, say, the 6, 7 spot, it really does boil down to how you want to start. And Devontae Adams at 12, we don't see that too often. He typically is falling maybe 13 or 14. Looking at his ADP since what do we got called up here since June 15th? Devontae going 16th on our ADP list, so that's a little bit higher than he typically has been going in the last several weeks.
Right.
So again, it really does come down to how you want to build your first couple of rounds here, right?
Yeah.
You can start off with a couple of wide receivers. Amon-Ra St. Brown, that's pretty typical where he's been going.
Yeah, that's yep. Again, you know what? I think we talked last. I think the last time I was on here with you doing this, I think we were talking about what's going to go on with the quarterbacks and right on cue, Patrick Mahomes comes off at pick 16 there, is paired with CD Lamb. We were wondering if they would kind of start moving down because they started off, especially in the best ball, they started off, you could get all 3 of those guys in the first round, Allen, Hurts, and Mahomes. I think I wasn't watching the draft because it was the night before. It was like Wednesday night, I believe. I was still up at the cabin. I think you watched it, or maybe it was yesterday. Now I don't even remember. Maybe it was, but didn't we see? We've had no Kelce and Mahomes stacks yet, and it wasn't possible here because the guy that had Kelce didn't have the choice. I swear that you watched the draft either yesterday or the day before where someone took Kelce at 6 and Mahomes slid all the way back through to like team 3 or 4. Was that not correct or no?
I posted the board.
Yeah, that's right.
I think I posted it I might have posted it today. No, it wasn't today. It would have been, I think, yesterday. Yeah, Mahomes fell all the way to like 18. So yeah,
no, it was 20. He fell to team 4. So he fell to pick 21 and he went through the owner that had Kelce. So somebody actually had the chance. And I don't think anyone else has even had the chance in the RotoWire to do that. And he passed on. I think he took maybe Devontae Smith or Chris Olave or something like that, if I remember right. So interesting.
Yep. No, you're right. I posted the board. It wouldn't have been today. I think it was yesterday. You're right.
Yes,
you're right. It's the first time I think I've seen that too, but he didn't take the Mahomes Kelce stack, but he absolutely had the chance and passed on it.
I would not have been able to pass. Had I had Kelce and Mahomes comes back, I would not have been able to pass.
And we were talking about that on the Sirius show 2 weeks ago when you were on.
Yeah.
About how neither of us would pass on that if we had the chance because you're just not getting that chance.
Yeah, you're going to have it's going to be a 1 or 2 or 3 type of team in the whole entire 5,000 teams are going to be in the tournament to have a team like that. I'm guessing. Right. I mean, it will happen because again, last night it could have happened. It didn't, but somewhere along the way, it's going to happen. Somebody's going to get that, and boy, I wish it would. Boy, it's not going to be me because I can't play, but I wish it would be. If I was in the competition, I wish it would be me. And again, you never know. We talked about the stacks too. I have no problem with any of these quarterbacks. Mahomes, Hurts, Allen, Lamar, especially going naked with any of those guys. Yes, stacks are nice, but they're really hard to get. So I don't have a problem going, just naked with those quarterbacks and just building other fantastic receivers and running backs around them. I got no problem with any of that this year.
Yep. All right, just kind of looking at some of the picks we've seen so far. Derrick Henry going 22nd overall. I think that's got to be about as high as he's
Yeah.
gone in a lot of recent drafts.
Yep.
Is again ADP since June 15th. Trying to find Henry because I got to scroll down. That's where
Yeah,
he's
you
been
got to scroll
going. You got to
down.
scroll down to find him. ADP of 2808. So certainly this is higher than he typically has been going. 19th is the earliest since June 15th, but again, he's not typically going in the second round anymore. So this owner clearly wanted him.
Well, look at that high pick number, 38, which means he slipped
Yeah.
into the 4th round. Jeez.
Yeah, exactly.
I didn't see that. I must not remember looking at that board. Crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a Henry guy. And he's the guy I love to like do betting on when I'm down at Diamond Joe's because I love the props I usually get on him. But man, if you're going to give me Derrick Henry one more run in the sun with Henry in the 4th round, I'm going to take that.
I'm going to take that. I'm off Derrick Henry, but in the 4th round, absolutely, I'll take a shot at him there. All right, so teams 11 and 12 loading up on one of those wide receivers so far. 11 going with A.J. Brown, Garrett Wilson, Debo. I like that start a lot. Team 12 with Adams, St. Brown, T. Higgins. 3 good wide receivers for both of those teams. Like that a lot.
Team 10, we don't see a lot of 3 running back starts anymore, but if you're going to start with 3 running backs with Bijan, Barkley, and Tony Pollard, that's one hell of a start.
Yeah. I'm not sure I'd want to start that. Yeah, I'm not sure I'd want to start that way, but yeah, I can't complain with those 3 running backs.
Jeez, that's I mean, he doesn't need another. I mean, he'll probably take 1 or 2 more somewhere along the way, but man, you don't need another one for a while, that's for sure.
Maybe round 18 or something. I mean, I'm totally laying off running backs for a long time.
And that's a great thing about these RotoWire drafts, folks, is you still do get stuff like this to happen. I mean, this is fun. I'm excited about some of these teams that I've seen right here and talking about the Kelsey Mahomes stack. I mean, that stuff's still going to happen. So again, you get in here at 350, it's a decent chunk of change. There's no question about it. I'm not saying that, but boy, if you can afford to do 1 or 2 of these, come on in and have fun. It's my favorite. I know the prime times are a big one, and we have other good ones. This one and the Silver Bullet are my favorite too. Silver Bullet's at $1,200 where you only get 1 entry, so you can only enter 1 time. But this one has kind of always been my favorite. I like the grand prize versus kind of the price and that kind of stuff. So I think it just allows you, if you can afford to do a couple of them, you can do a couple different builds, and boy, it's fun.
How many did you play back in the day before?
So the year before we bought so I was working for Rob, with
right.
At that point we were called, and we were just acquiring all the small fantasy companies. So at that point I had 22 RotoWire teams that year in the fall of 2016 when we purchased. So I was allowed to finish out my teams. I mean, we didn't purchase until end of November, or whatever. But at one point there, in week 11, I was actually leading the entire competition. I was first overall. I remember the team I drafted Mike Evans and Brandon Marshall as my first 2, and then I had DeMarco Murray and LaShawn McCoy were rounds 3 and 4, and I was like 60 points clear of the crowd by week 11 at some point, and then the team just fell apart. I was using Eli Manning and a couple other guys at quarterback, so it just kind of fell. I ended up winning my league and getting in the playoffs, but the team did not compete at all in the overall at the end, which was frustrating. But at week 11, one of my 22 teams, I was in first place.
And of course, the story is when Greg and I first go to Minneapolis, when we're all, we got bought by Rob and go to meet everybody for the first time, and of course we knew that you were there, and so Greg and I go looking for the French guy who had 20 plus teams in the online championship, and you show up and are like, well, that's not the French guy. Because of course, Darik Buchar, that's who we thought we were going to meet. Right.
Yeah.
So no, you're just a guy from the Midwest, like the 2 of us.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Anyway. So we get 3 quarterbacks there in round 2 and 3 more in round 3. And that's round 3 and 4. Typically, those are when the 6 guys are off the board. So maybe a little earlier than normal in this draft, but those typically are the 6.
Yep. And then you've got one more coming that can actually creep up into those depending on how I think it's going to do. But yeah, it's pretty standard draft. I mean, the guys that have been taken have been standard. There's been nobody jump. Now, some of the builds are really fun. Like I said, team 10 with the 3 running backs, team 11 and 12, all wide receivers so far. That's a fun turn down there. Jefferson, Chubb, Herbert, and Ridley, that's a heck of a nice start too. I mean, it's kind of painted different colors there, but you got the number one pick, you got Nick Chubb, who I still believe has running back number one overall potential. Now, there's going to be some things that would have to happen for that to actually happen, but I don't know that it's not out of the realm of possibility. There's a 5 to 10, maybe even 15% chance if Chubb does what he does on the ground and they emulate him more in the passing game and he scores some TDs. I don't think Kareem Hunt's going back there. We don't know yet, but Nick Chubb, pick 24, that could pay off big time.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought him up because Greg and I were talking about him on the Sirius show Wednesday night. He's such a tough guy for me because the receptions just haven't been there, right? I mean, he's caught more than 20 passes in a season one time, and the high was 36. So it's not like he blew up the 1 year. He's never been a threat in the passing game at all. He's such a great running back. I mean, he's fantastic. I love the guy, and he's terrific, but he's so frustrating from a fantasy perspective because he gives you nothing in the passing game.
However, some of that has been because Kareem Hunt has been there the last few years too.
Right.
So we'll see. Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting guy that just went there, J.K. Dobbins. I know both you and I love J.K. Dobbins, have for years.
Love Dobbins.
And now he's kind of 2 years removed from that horrific knee injury. He's been all over the place. I saw him go. I was watching a draft the other night, or I don't know what night it was. They're all blending together because of 4th of July, but I think it was actually 4th of July night. He went in the 6th round. Right around the same spot. It was team 5, team 6, something like that. So now that's right there. That's 2 rounds ahead of where I just saw him 3 nights ago, whatever that is. So he's really moving around.
Yeah. So looking at pairings, no pairings so far that I see. I don't consider running back and quarterback really to be a pairing. So I'm ignoring team 6, who's got Lamar and Dobbins. So no quarterback.
That's actually, to me, that's actually, I think Nelson mentioned this on the radio the other night when I was listening to you guys. That's almost like I think he called it negative correlation. I get what he means. I understand there's a thought process like, okay, look, I got Lamar, I got Dobbins. I'm going to get all the touchdowns. Somehow I'm going to basically get all the touchdowns Baltimore gets, right? Either Lamar's running him in, throwing him in, or Dobbins is probably running him. Now, of course, there's other things going to happen. Gus Edwards going to, but again, for a regular season type of thing, it's nice, right? Because you're getting all that. When you come down to the finals and the playoffs, what's tougher there is that J.K. Dobbins does not catch a lot of passes, right? So you're either getting one or the other at that point. And at that point in the 3-week chase, you're going to need Baltimore to really, really, really score a lot of points, right? You're going to need 4 or 5 touchdowns a game for that to necessarily do what you're trying to make it do when you draft that right now. Now I'm saying, again, it can work. It absolutely can work, but that's not a thing I necessarily would think I would do right there with any really QB running back combo that early. That seems early.
We saw that a few years ago in the prime time. I forget who the owner was who had all those Broncos the year Peyton went bonkers. He had Peyton, he had Demaryius Thomas, Julius Thomas, and the great Noshawn Moreno. And he was first in regular season scoring because he had all those Broncos. So he cruised through the regular season, but he didn't win the prime time because exactly what you said, the Broncos did not light it up in the playoff weeks. So he went from crushing it during the regular season to not winning in the prime time because he didn't maximize what had all happened in the regular season once the playoff week started.
And 2 years later, the same. I doubt it was the same person, but the person that was winning the primetime had all the Falcons: Matt Ryan, Julio Jones, Tevin Coleman. Who's the other running back? I always forget his name. Devonta
Freeman.
Devonta Freeman. Yes. So he had like those 4. You know what I mean? So and he might have had even. I don't even remember if Roddy White was still around at that point or not. Anyways, he had those 4 Falcons for sure. The first 4 I mentioned, and he was head over heels above the league all year, regular season and scoring. He obviously mixed in some other great picks as well. But when it got down to the playoffs, he just had too many Falcons and they just didn't score enough, right? And it falls apart with the correlation. So again, it's not a bad thing to do. Like you kind of maybe have to have a plan. And again, it's easy to say have a plan now for 15 weeks later, 15 weeks of NFL games later. None of us are good enough to predict what's going to happen, 4 months from now, let alone tomorrow half the time. So I get why you do it again, but I think it's just kind of early for me to pull that strategy.
Yeah. All right, looking at some builds there. We were looking at Team 11, of course, starting off with 4 wide receivers and then a tight end in Hawkinson. So that's a very interesting build there. Team 9, almost the exact same thing with wide receiver heavy and Patrick
Patrick
Mahomes.
Mahomes in there.
So,
Yeah, it's nice.
yeah, that's an interesting build to keep an eye on as well. So, very, very interesting build for a couple of teams there. So,
And I've heard you and I know Nelson's talked about it when he was on, but then you just like coming up in these, end of 5, round 6, round 7, even into round 8. There's some nice running backs that are going to go off the board here. So if you're able to do
yep.
kind of what Team 11 or like you said, Team 9 did, if there's some running backs that fall back to you and you have a monster advantage at receiver, tight end, receiver / quarterback, it might work out very well this year. So we're gonna see more and more of this. You know what I haven't heard a lot of people talking about this year? I'm not listening to tons of podcasts at this point or whatever, just too busy. But the running back dead zone, I'm not hearing as much about that this year. Maybe it's out there. Maybe the talk is out there. I'm not seeing it as much on Twitter. I'm not hearing it on the few podcasts that I do listen to, that I have the time to listen to at this point. So I don't know. I think there's going to be some fantastic round 6, round 7 grabs. And I know some people call the dead zone maybe round 3 to round 5 or round 3 to early round 6. I don't know what the term is. I don't necessarily know that I believe in it, because if you pick the right guys in the right spot, it's going to work out. Josh Jacobs, a prime example last year. He was a dead zone running back and he won people lots and lots of money.
Oh, yeah. No, there's run. I mean, we're not going to say who they are because, we don't know who's all paying attention from the draft tonight, but there's running backs on the board right now. And so if you're playing chicken or whatever you're doing, you're going to get some guys in the next round and maybe even next 2 rounds that I think you're going to be pretty happy with. So
here, the
I mean,
pick I want to talk about right now. Travis Etienne just went,
yep.
5'10". A guy you and I both have loved the talent. Obviously, you can see it. But man, he's to me the most confusing guy. I have 2 jerseys. I have a Mahomes jersey and I have an Etienne jersey. The only 2 jerseys I have. I got an Etienne jersey a couple years ago. I loved where he went, and I loved the guy coming out of college. I thought he was going to be fantastic. He is a fantastic player. Just frustrating the way they use him, and I don't get why they use him that way, because he's playing with the same quarterback that made him so dynamic in college.
Yep. No, I don't understand their usage either. And because the offense has been so good with Peterson, they're not going to change anything. So that's the thing. If they were struggling, they might change things, but they're not. So Peterson's got no impetus or no motivation to change anything at all. So he's not going to use Etienne more in the passing game, especially with Ridley there. And given how ineffective Etienne was near the goal line, they're not going to use him more. They're going to use him less, right? Especially since they drafted a power running back this year. So
where do you have Etienne? Is he like a low end RB2 for you? Is he a flex for you?
Yeah, he's like a 2. I mean, I'd be happy with. I really like what Team 3 has done. Take away Derrick Henry, replace him with a wide receiver, and I love that build. I'm not on Derrick Henry, especially in the second round. Replace Henry with a wide receiver, and I'm all over that build he's got. Gotcha. I mean, I think that's a great start. Yeah, so I'm okay with ETN there.
Yeah, I think I'm kind of in the same spot. I mean, there's a couple of running backs that have gone after. Well, for sure, Kenneth Walker I like more, just because I think he's just going to have more opportunity. I think they're both home run hitters in the sense. I just think Walker's going to get the ball a heck of a lot more in important situations. So that's a guy I definitely would take him. Miles Sanders, I would consider taking over him. You know what? I'm starting to come around a little bit on Cam Akers after listening to people. I'm still not there yet. I still think everything has to be perfect for Cam Akers to be really good. And I don't know that I need to say that about other running backs. I don't think things have to be perfect for Miles Sanders or perfect for Kenneth Walker. So that I don't know. We'll see. I'm almost positive I probably won't get any Cam Akers this year unless I'm in some draft or something weird happens and he falls to me, or I'm in an auction and I need to. It's the right time to pounce or something. But we'll see. I'm still not I'm nowhere near as high as the rest of the industry on Cam Akers.
Look at Dave Wilden. Look at Dave Wilden just showing up there too. Look at that. You and me, Dave. I can't either, Dave. I'm right there with you, man.
Which
Right
is
there
fine.
with
I
you.
love that's what makes these fun, right? We can sit here and have we have opinions on guys, and that's great. That's
Yep.
if everything was cast in stone, this wouldn't be any fun, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I love Team Sevens, but I'm a huge Michael Pittman fan. I do not like the situation for him with a rookie quarterback that's not good. And if it's Gardner Minshew, it's even worse. So I don't know if I'd take Pittman there, especially with Mike Williams still on the board. But Pittman has a 3 behind Hill and Olave's not the worst thing in the world, but Stevenson, Gibbs, and Fields, I love that. That's a nice build, though. I think that's a
Yeah.
nice build. I like
I
that one.
mean, that'll work. I mean, as long, especially if Ramondre is back in the passing game this year, I know you've said a lot of times that you don't, obviously we all know he was phased out. That's fact. But, I don't know if you think he's going to get kind of brought back into that role or not. I mean, they don't have a lot behind him, right? What is it? Ty Montgomery kind of for that role?
Just keep delving away from New England and I'm fine. That's just like I said, it's just there's bad vibes there, and just keep Delvin Cook out of New England, and I'll be okay with Stevenson. If they don't change the running back room and they keep whatever other crap they got there, then he'll be fine because there's nobody there who's going to challenge him
right
in any way. Yeah, because Ty Montgomery and I don't know what Pierre Strong or whatever crap they got
doesn't seem like a lot
Yeah,
there.
it's all just a bunch of Jags. So yeah.
That might be. I'm going to check the ADP. Trevor Lawrence just went as the last pick of the 6th round. I'm going to check that ADP for the last 3 weeks. That seems very low. That is going to be the max pick by one. He went 71 in one other draft in the last 3 weeks in the RotoWire. So that is actually a max pick on Trevor Lawrence in the last 3 weeks for sure. So good.
I agree with what James is saying here about Mike Williams. I do not understand. Mike, Greg and I were talking about this on the Sirius show Wednesday night. I do not get Mike Williams' ADP at all. If you're into the Kellen Moore offense and Justin Herbert throwing bombs, you should be drafting Mike Williams. I get the whole Mike Williams can't stay healthy thing. He can't. But if Kellen Moore's throwing bombs, they're not all going to Quentin Johnston. That's for sure. They're going to Mike Williams.
That's
best
the devil's
high point
advocate
catcher
there.
in the NFL.
You did mention the 2 things there. And I could throw in a third one, which is, again, another wishy-washy thing. You mentioned Mike Williams has a hard time staying healthy.
Yep.
Quentin Johnston is now there, and he was one of the best receivers in college football last year with the ball in his hands for sure. And then you do have the well, I don't know what percent chance it is that Keenan Allen stays relatively healthy. And if that's the case, Keenan Allen's still the number 1 dog there. I mean, they do different things. I get it. But that ball is going to Keenan Allen a lot more than it's going to go to Mike Williams. I don't care that Kellen Williams comes in. And so I'm kind of a little bit confused about the whole, Kellen Moore deep passing game stuff, because I watched Dallas last year. They didn't throw the ball deep much at all. Now, you can say they didn't have the personnel to, but there was a lot of CeeDee Lamb underneath slot stuff. I know Gallup wasn't healthy all year long, but you watched Dallas games last year. You didn't see Dak dropping back and throwing it like Randall Cunningham or Dante Culpepper or Randy Moss a whole lot. So I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah. All right. So Joanna is telling us all about Dalvin Cook going to the Jets, which of course would not be good news for Breece Hall at all.
Yeah, and
wouldn't be great for Dalvin either, by the way.
No, it wouldn't be good for either of them. I think Breece Hall is still kind of like I have Breece Hall in the same kind of thought. I love Breece Hall, by the way, and next year I'm going to have him on pretty much all my teams because I love the guy.
Me too.
I have him kind of in the same vein that I have Javonte Williams this year, where I think like the thing is you have to invest some pretty good draft capital to acquire him. So there's definitely opportunity costs there with other guys you could be getting. I feel like they're like second half or even playoff run type guys, right? Where they've gone 3 months, played a little bit sparingly, used in the right situations. And then if their team situation is correct at the time and they need wins and whatever, that's when these guys are going to kind of be let loose. So again, it's tough because right now you're acquiring them with with top picks, right? So it's tough to say I'm going to use a round 4, round 5, even round 6 pick on these guys and have to wait for that production when there's other guys that barring injury, the production is going to be there or should be there.
Yep. No, I can't. I probably will have 0 shares of Hall this year, but like you said, I'm going to be all over him next year. 2 years removed from those ACLs. That's when I want those guys. Dobbins this year, Hall next year. Same thing.
Yeah, and it's kind of frustrating because again, I know you're happy that Aaron Rodgers is there, but I would like to see a healthy Breece Hall with Aaron Rodgers because we've seen what Aaron Rodgers did for Aaron Jones, right? I mean, Breece Hall is a better version of Aaron Jones.
Much better, much more talented.
It would be interesting to see how that dynamic would work, and we don't know if Aaron Rodgers will be there next year, so
yeah,
we'll see.
No, yeah. No, I'm a big Aaron Jones guy, but I'm under no illusions about his talent compared to Breece Hall's.
Of course.
Yeah.
Right.
All right, so we're through 7 rounds here. Look, kind of just glancing at the board again, not seeing any major guys that are jumping up as far as ADP or really falling. I mean, you mentioned Trevor Lawrence there.
No, let's talk about Team 9. So we liked Team 9's start, right? CeeDee Lamb, Mahomes, 3 more receivers, and Metcalf, DJ Moore, or Chris Godwin. So now he's got to start popping the running backs, like we were talking about, round 6 and 7. So he goes with Madison and Pacheco. Now you like Madison a lot. I like Madison. I'm a Vikings fan, right? I think he's going to be serviceable. You like him more for fantasy than I do. And that's only because I believe that the Vikings brass, from the guy I know, they are in love with Ty Chandler still. And bringing in Dwayne McBride this year. Now, Kevin O'Connell's group were the people that drafted Ty Chandler last year. I get it. He didn't get any run last year. I mean, Delvin was still there. They had Madison. They used, Kenny, the kick returner guy a little bit. So Chandler I don't even think he was active for a game. But I do know that they are very, very high on both of those guys. And I know we were talking on Twitter kind of with Gecko Cerebro and kind of saying none of us are in love with this talent. And you're saying the volume is there. And I'm not sure that the volume is there as much as you think it's going to be.
Well, and if that proves to be the case, then yeah, then he's in trouble. Because my argument has never been based on his talent. I want to make that very clear. I don't think he's a special running back by any stretch of the imagination. He's a volume-based producer. I mean, when you look, I forget somebody posted the tweet maybe a day or two ago, his production without Dalvin. And he pretty much has produced every single game as an RB1 with the exception of like 1 or 2.
The 1 or 2 where everyone started him. That's what sucks.
Well, yeah, but it's always been because he's gotten like 25 plus touches.
Right. No,
in every one of those games. And that's
the problem there was that was under the old Zimmer regime. So like with the O'Connell scheme, he's just not going to get that volume. So
well, I mean, again, I'm not saying draft him in the 3rd round as an RB1. No. I'm saying, I mean, right now he goes in the 6th round of this draft. I think he should be going a round or 2 higher. I think he should be at least going in the 4th round. I mean, look at the running backs going in the 4th round. I mean, Jacobs, he shouldn't go ahead of Jacobs, but Najee Harris, Dobbins, Gibbs. Again, we talked about Breece Hall.
I couldn't take Madison anywhere around Dobbins or Gibbs, to be honest with you. The upside with Gibbs and Dobbins we both love, but the upside with Gibbs just catching passes is, to me, is so much bigger than anything Madison's going to do. So let's talk about so even the Madison thing. He went Isaiah Pacheco the next round, which is also a guy I love. I love watching the guy play. But that Chiefs backfield is going to be really, really tricky. Now, I get week 1, you get to and then he goes Alvin Kamara. He or she goes Alvin Kamara right after that. So now building options. I like that right. You come out firepower with receivers and Mahomes. You got to do it. So now you go Mahomes. Now you got Pacheco. Now you got Kamara. All of them have questions. Pacheco, you have obviously McKinnon there, who they brought back, who was fantastic for them in the passing game. You also have Clyde Edwards-Helaire, which I don't know. I mean, he was good to start the year, horrible, benched, didn't play in the playoffs, but now you hear the talk that he's wowing the camp again, and that could be as much as coach speak and beat writer speak or whatever. But for the first week, it's fine, right? You get to look at all the running backs on the Chiefs anyways, because it's a Thursday game and decide what you have to do. But I don't know. I think it might be frustrating unless you own all the Chiefs running backs, all three of them, I guess, at this point, and then see how it kind of plays out from week to week. But I do think you have to have other options because I don't think any of the three are safe as every week starters at this point. In fact, I would say the one that's probably the safest is McKinnon because I think you just get a floor with 3 or 4 catches at least every game, and whatever he adds on to it.
I would probably have taken Dameon Pierce there over Pacheco. Again, but look, I mean, we're talking about the running backs on the board here. I mean, P Ryan's not a bad pick in this spot. I mean, he's gonna get action there with Williams obviously dealing with the knee. Antonio Gibson hanging around here.
Antonio Gibson, I think, is going to be. He's one of my favorite guys this year. I'll probably get him Tuesday night when we do our auction because he's just falling into the right place in drafts, and the cost in auction so far has not been much. I think he's like $6 or something.
Assuming the Commanders don't bring in Kareem Hunt and muck that backfield all up, it's him and Robinson. That's it.
And Robinson's not good. I don't know what people see in Robinson. I
think he's decent. I don't think he's great, but he's decent.
People think he's decent, I think, because he was at Alabama. I mean, he didn't even play till his 5th year at Alabama. No, I get they're running guys out in Alabama all the time.
I have no thoughts about that, but I think he's okay, but I don't think he's great. But again, it's just the two of them. That's it.
Yeah.
So
and Gibson's got the pass catching role there. That's not even a question at this point.
And that's why I like him.
Yeah.
That's why I like him. But yeah, I mean, there's decent flex running backs hanging around here in round 7 and 8.
Yeah, they're absolutely not even just flex. I mean, there's running back twos. I would play Antonio Gibson as my running back too if I had a great build. No problem. I wouldn't think twice about it.
If I was loaded, like Team 9 is with strong wide receivers and Mahomes. Yeah, you could absolutely play Gibson. I mean, and you should, assuming the volume is there for Madison, you could get away with Gibson as your 2.
Yeah.
And Charbonnet, I mean, could be all right. I don't have a problem with Charbonnet. I'd take Charbonnet over Kamara, to be honest.
At this point,
we have no idea what's going on.
Yeah, we don't have any idea what's going to happen with Kamara. I mean, again, if it works out and he's maybe only suspended 6 games or something like that, and and he's back to close to vintage Alvin Kamara, it's going to be a nice pick in the 8th round when you get to use him. But we don't at this point today. We just don't know. Henry Muto's asking us if we know when our FSGA draft is. Do you guys know? I don't know yet.
I think Henry, it's in sometime this month, Henry. We got an email about that a couple of weeks ago. There's no date set yet. We just got asked if we wanted to come back, and Greg and I said yeah, because we were so bad last year. We have to come back because we drafted Russell Wilson, Henry. That's all you need to know.
Yeah, there you go.
It wasn't good. Honestly, that was easily one of the worst teams I've ever put together. It was not good. It was bad.
So Tua Tagovailoa is now starting to seems like he's falling a little bit. I feel like he used to be in the end of the 7th, early 8th round. Just went in the beginning of the 9th round here. Maybe it's just a product of this draft. And there really isn't. I mean, I might take Tua in front of Deshaun Watson this year just because I like the fact that Hill and Waddle are there and the coach is a passing guy. But so not every team has a quarterback yet, so we're not even through the QB, quote unquote QB ones yet. What are your thoughts on Tua this year? I know both of us had some fun with him last year, thinking he was going to have to punt the ball down to Tyreek Hill, but he actually, when he was healthy, he actually played pretty damn well last year.
He was better than I thought he was.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, without question. Yeah,
yep.
No, I mean, we did have a lot of fun. The training camp videos were a lot of fun. Early on, he was pretty good. Yeah. And they got the weapons there. There's no question about that. And we'll see where Delvin ends up. If he goes there, that helps him in the running game. But with Hill and Waddle, certainly the weapons are there. He was good. He was better than I thought. So
I don't even think they need Delvin. I'd just like to see Delvin go somewhere. I'm not Jeff Wilson and Raheem Mostert. They do their things. I just want to see A-Chain in the passing game with this team with all that speed out there. I'd like to see that. And if Delvin's there, I'm not sure that materializes as much as it would with him not there. So at this point, I have A-Chain on 1 or 2 teams so far. I'd like to see how that pans out.
Well, I mean, they could still use him even with Dalvin. I mean,
You
they,
could,
they
but then
certainly could
there's
use
just one
Dalvin on
more.
early.
4 running backs would be tough there. I mean, that's a lot.
No, they don't have to keep all four, but
Well, they
you're
just
right.
both re-signed both Wilson and Mostert. It doesn't.
But
I
what? Yeah,
doubt.
I know what. I don't know what the contracts are. Are they?
Still, I mean, you're signing a 1-year contract. That's guaranteed money at this point. So
Yeah,
it doesn't make whole lot of sense to want to cut one of them.
yeah, that's a good point. All right, so we're through round 9. I think we'll do maybe another couple of rounds, and
Yeah, we can
then
go through like 11 or 12. It's moving pretty good here.
this
So
draft is cruising along pretty good. Then we'll cut
which
Darik
let's
loose
say
because
most of them do that, right? Most of them move pretty darn good. You give
yep,
yourself an hour and a half for these drafts. I mean, it may go an hour 35, maybe an hour 40 if it's a slow group, but they can also get done in 75 minutes, and they have. So it's
yep,
you get in the right draft and people are moving, and again, just fun, and you got a chance at $250,000.
yep. And like Derek and I were saying at the start of this one, we got one more draft tonight, the 11:55 p.m. Eastern night owl we call them. So if you're interested, you want to check it out, you like what you're seeing on the draft board here, got a lot of eyeballs in the on the draft right now. Just head on over to playnffc.com. You can sign up for that one. You can sign up for any contest you want. Entry fees start as low as $25. We got our live events, of course, in Las Vegas and New York City. Check it all out at playnffc.com. Again, 20 years we've been doing this in the NFFC. So it's going to be a big, big year. A lot of great stuff going on this year in the NFFC. So
For sure.
we had a lot of fun with our live events, 20th anniversary live events in baseball. Looking forward to it in football as well. And
A guy that was
a chain just goes off the board there
yeah.
for team 6.
Yeah, and a guy right before him I want to ask you about, Darnell Mooney, was getting drafted very, very highly last year, 5th
Yep.
round, maybe 6th round, whatever. Obviously, now that we're already into the 10th and he goes here, obviously they've acquired DJ Moore, Justin Fields another year older, so we all hope he's going to take a little bit more of a step in the passing game. What are your thoughts on Mooney?
Love the value on him. I mean, he's a good. I mean, they're not a high octane passing
Right,
game. We know
right,
that, but
yeah,
I mean, he's a really good wide receiver. So, I mean, he's not going to catch a ton of passes, but I think the talent is there. We know Fields has a connection with him already. I don't think Moore is going to strip a lot of that away. And there's just not a lot of options in the passing game. It's pretty much Moore, Mooney, and Komet, right?
yeah.
So the targets, the balls that are going to be there in the passing game are going to go to those 3 guys. So defenses can't key
Unless they
on
get
them.
something out of Claypool, I don't think they will. I've never
I'm
been a Claypool guy.
I'm not a Claypool guy.
Yeah. I do have a
So
question. We do have a question in the lobby. How long do you keep the light on for the night owl if it doesn't fill? Well, I mean, it's a judgment call. It's not scheduled to start for almost 80 minutes yet. We've got 9 more spots to fill. But if it's close, gets to 6 or 7, it usually fills. So we can kind of throw out the bat signal and get some guys in there. So sometimes we can delay. They don't have to start necessarily on time. We can delay for 10, 15, 20 minutes. Now, we don't like to do it too late on the late ones, but a lot of times people are like, I'll stick around. So sometimes it's supposed to start at 11:55. They've started at 12:30 a.m. before or something like that. So as long as it's close, we'll keep it open as long as we don't lose people. So there you go.
yeah, it's really a judgment call. But
Yep.
the last one is we have to be a little tighter on the time because it is
Yeah,
so late,
because
but
it's so late.
it's a judgment call. All
Well,
right, a couple of potential value wide receivers off the board there. Beckham to end round 10. Don't know what we're going to get out of him, but certainly potential. And Nico Collins could be a sleeper there in Houston. And Tyler Boyd, always just a solid PPR bench guy.
and one injury away from stepping into a monster role.
Yep.
Right. So
Yep.
you know that.
And then some depth running backs. I mean, Algier performed well for Atlanta last year, and he'll be the backup there behind Bijan, of course, in Atlanta. And Bigsby, excuse me, is the backup and potential goal line guy in Jacksonville. So could be a potential TD monster for the Jaguars because Travis Etienne certainly did not do that job well last year in Jacksonville.
No. And Algier and Bijan, from what we're hearing, are going to be on the field quite a bit together, is what it sounds like.
Yeah.
They're going to move Bijan around, and which makes a lot of sense. Get him in space. That guy in space is going to be insane. We're going to see something we haven't seen, I think, for a while. I mean, yes, McCaffrey, beautiful in space. Barkley, kind of before he had the knee injury. Barkley's still good, but he's not. I don't think he's vintage Saquon Barkley anymore, but. Bijan Robinson, if you haven't seen this guy, if you didn't watch him at Texas, and I don't watch a lot of college football, but I made it a point to watch Texas games last year. And what that guy did to defenses that were completely designed to do nothing but stop him, and he was still able to do what he did. He's special, folks. So it's going to be fun to watch Bijan this year. That's why I'm so high on him. That's why a lot of people are high on him. He's just one of those guys you just know the second he steps into the league, he's probably the best running back in the league. He might be the best running back in the league at this point. It's right there.
Well, I think there's a lot of good picks in round one this year, some very good picks, but I do think if you're picking at the end of drafts right now, I think you're going to be very, very happy with the Bijan Robinson pick at the end of round one. That's all I'm going to say.
In today's NFL, you don't waste an 8th overall pick on a running back unless he's going to be you're going to be using him.
Yep. All right, I think we'll wrap it up here in a bit. Darik, you got any final words you want to I was going to say.
I think we hit it all, but like kind of as you mentioned at the top of the show, we're every night 8, 10, 11:55 for these RotoWires, but every day moving forward, we do have 1 or 2 matinees, and that could be 12 noon Eastern, it could be 2 Eastern, it could be 4, it could be 12 and 4. It kind of depends on our shift for the way that Tom and I and Brian work, but no matter what, every day moving forward, all the way through week 1, there will be a matinee. And as we get down towards the end, it'll be every, 12, 2, 4, 6. They're basically even hours, but at the very, very end, we even mix in odd hours. So there'll be basically every hour at the end, the last 6, 7, 8 days where we get, we'll have 200, 300, 400 drafts at that point. Or signups, you know what I mean? Not drafts, but there'll be days where we have 20 RotoWires or 22 RotoWires. We've had that in the past. So again, one of the 2 contests in the industry with the 350 price point and a monster first place prize. They're fun, great league prizes. So if you can get in, it's fun.
Yep. And be sure to follow us on Twitter, be in our lobby as well, because we'll have promo codes, some discounts. So if you're looking to save a little money on these entries, that's where you want to be. Following us on Twitter, hanging out in our lobby, because that's where we'll get everybody and let you know if you can save a little money on the entry fees as well. So again, want to thank everybody for stopping by and watching the RotoWire Online Championship draft tonight. And like we said, we got one more tonight at 11:55 p.m. Eastern. So we'll sell that one out and get one more in tonight competing for the $250,000 grand prize. So on behalf of myself, Tom Kessenich, and Darik Buchar, I want to thank you all for joining us this evening. So thank you all. We'll be doing these again every single week throughout the drafting season. Thank you all for joining us. Good night. Have a great rest of your week and a great weekend, everybody.